The Economic Freedom Fighters have confirmed the resignation of Dr Mbuyiseni Ndlozi as its Member of Parliament. This was revealed in a statement on Thursday in what the party termed as the voluntary resignations of Yazini, Tetyana and Dr Mbuyiseni Ndlozi as representatives of the EFF in Parliament. The party was rocked by high-profile exits following the 2024 national and provincial elections. It says the latest resignations were sent to the Secretary-General of the EFF consecutively and within days of each other. The EFF notes that it has accepted what it has repeatedly described as a respective voluntary request from the pair to be released from deployment. Tetyana has served in the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature and Parliament, while Dr Ndlozi has served in the National Assembly since 2014, and the party has wished them well in their future endeavours. Let's bring in political analyst Sandile Swana on this story and the ANC's January 8th celebrations. Good evening to you, Mr. Swana, and thank you so much for your time. So, what does this mean for the EFF? Was the writing always on the wall, according to you?
Thank you and good evening to you, Bongiwe. Yes, we have anticipated this, and the EFF has definitely anticipated this. And we were told at Nasrec by the EFF in the NPA that all the leaders of the EFF are present there, and therefore anybody who's not in the room is not a leader of the EFF. And that certainly applied to Ndlozi. So it's been in process and is now here. So there is nothing new.
And in your view, what does it mean then for the party?
It is a follow-up on the party cleansing itself of the double agents of the MKP who were operating inside the EFF and the MKP, as well as some of them operating inside the ANC and the MKP. So the extent of Ndlozi's complicity in that is not known, but we are aware that there were insinuations in that direction.
And when it comes then to, his role in the party, because a number of people, including, for example, political analyst Sanusha Naidu, speak about the difficulty in replacing him for the party. Do you also think that that is a possibility that they may not find or may find it difficult to replace someone of his caliber?
Yeah, I think that is a new idea. I've heard some of the liberals propounding such ideas that in the liberation movement, generally, there's a shortage of leaders. Some saying Cyril has no replacement. Now we're hearing that Ndlozi has no replacement. In the mass democratic movement, there were always leaders. Our people have never been short of leaders to lead themselves. That is how we got here in the first place. So there are young people, very bright people. Ndlozi was there. The only time he got known was through the EFF. I'm quite certain there'll be others who will emerge and replace him quite easily. You see some graduates of the top universities present in the EFF. We expect them to do their job.
Do you think it's going to stop at the resignation as an EFF MP, or does it go further, in your view?
It can go further, but it doesn't need to go further. Ndlozi can join a think tank, can join a university, etc., etc. I do not know whether he subscribes to the views of Jacob Zuma about politics, but yeah, he has got many opportunities with his experience and qualifications.
When you look at his time in Parliament, for example, including, of course, earlier on with my colleague Lula Mamanya, we're talking about some light-hearted moments where he was calling people sleepists and all of that bad. What contribution do you think he made, especially when it comes to the discourse in that House? I mean, you think about his firm stance on a number of issues, education, the Middle East as well?
Yes, Ndlozi, the reason why I answer questions about him in a particular way is because I see Ndlozi in the political landscape as probably one of the pioneers in his generation of the second phase of the struggle, if you like, the post-colonial phase, where the struggle now is to get rid of the former liberation fighters who have now become oppressors of the Africans. So that is where his role is most significant in history. And now the question is whether he is able to sustain that profile to the point where we see young people such as Boko in Botswana and elsewhere and in West Africa starting to remove these leaders who are collaborating with oppressors and start new liberation for African people. So that is the profile that I think Ndlozi needs to look carefully as to how he maintains his profile.
Looking at another story, the ANC celebrating its 113th birthday yesterday, and listening to party president Cyril Ramaphosa admitting that they took a beating at the polls, but he says that the party is not dying. It's been able to rise from the ashes and it can do this again, and it is a party that is rebuilding. Is it, in your view?
So the ANC, Bongo, is in the Western Cape. If you look at it, they've declined from 46% to 21%. They are now about a third of the support that the DA has. You know, they would have to go almost 3 times to catch up with the DA and be a majority party. And then when you look across the country, they've lost the Northern Cape. In fact, they first lost the Western Cape and never recovered it. And the DA has won a majority in 3 consecutive elections. And then in the Northern Cape, they've lost the majority. They are a 30% party for all practical purposes in Gauteng. They are finished in KZN. So this is not a party. In this year alone, Cyril Ramaphosa lost the Northern Cape for the first time. He continued to fail to regain the Western Cape. Instead, it declined sharply in the Western Cape. In KZN, it was a total disaster. In Gauteng, you know, it's terrible. It's a political crisis.
So he says that this is a party at the weekend that is then going to be taking stock and reflecting truly about where it finds itself. I'm listening to what you're saying. What should they be saying then to those who will be listening to the January 8th statement?
As I have said to you, Bongi, before, the most sensible thing for Cyril Ramaphosa and the NEC of the ANC would be to resign. They are destroying confidence of former apartheid activists. They are destroying the hopes of youngsters who have been born, the born frees. They've destroyed the born frees. They don't have the skill to run this country. They don't have the expertise, nor the will, the commitment to run the ANC. To listen to them is a waste of airtime. It's just a waste of time.
You don't think they can rise from the ashes as they say they can?
The ANC is finished. The ANC is in the dustbin of history, especially if they continue to keep people like Mbalula there, Cyril Ramaphosa, and all the other useless people who are there. It's deadwood.
So what do you make of former President Jacob Zuma delivering that letter to demand his reinstatement, you know, especially as far as the membership of the party is concerned, on a day like yesterday?
Jacob Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa are 2 sides of the same coin. Those 2 men have destroyed the ANC and destroyed South Africa. And both of them, one running the Ganja faction, the other one running the Pala faction, are saying that they can resuscitate and revive the ANC of Albert Luthuli and Oliver Tambo. When we know for sure that when we look at the statistics, Stats SA, look at the statistics at the IEC, the reports of the Human Sciences Research Council, it is clear beyond all doubt that these people have got no skill, no capacity to resuscitate anything in South Africa. So the letter of Jacob Zuma is another ploy by the failed liberation movement, a faction of the, to say there is a messiah of this country and of the ANC who can come out of themselves, the very culprits who have been destroying the ANC. That is what Zuma is trying to do, to keep himself relevant to the history of the ANC with this letter that he has written.
All right, Mr. Swana, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. That's a political analyst there, Sandile Swana, taking a look at the developments in the EFF. Remember that Dr Mbuyiseni Ndlozi resigning there as a member of parliament, but also a look ahead at the January 8th statement that will be delivered by ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa. And remember, this is the statement by the NEC that will be taking stock, as we heard yesterday through the ANC president, that it will look at where the ANC finds itself and actually, look at the state of the party and, of course, get marching orders, give them to the members. And certainly it will be interesting to see what do those marching orders look like, especially in the context of the Government of National Unity.